Alrighty, so I just finished Wuthering Heights, the book, and I watched the movie over the weekend with my boyfriend, and I have some thoughts. I have some beautiful, wonderful thoughts about both things, and I want to talk about them. So let's get let's just jump in. Welcome to Rihanna. I'm Rihanna. I read a lot of books, and we're gonna talk about it. So I will start this off by saying I want to go over the positives of the movie first, and then I will go into what my issues were. So the first thing, I did like this movie. I had a great time watching the movie. I coming out of the theater. There was nothing I really oh, that was awful. What was she doing? Except the skin room. If you know, you know. What was that? Honestly, because what was that? But it's okay, because everything else I absolutely loved. I loved the costumings. I loved the just every single about it. I had a great time. I walked out of the movie theater sobbing because it was just beautiful, wonderful done, and I just loved all the parts of it. I will say I will not be talking about how it's not book accurate or how the costumes are historically accurate, as the director has come out and said that was her goal. And so therefore that was not an expectation I had, because if she's not trying to, it's not gonna happen. And I will also say that I loved all the costumes. I don't care if they were historically accurate. They were beautiful, they were well done, and I want them. Please and thank you. If I could see, I would see a lot of movie wardrobes, but this one in particular, yes, please. I will also say I really liked the cinematography done in this movie. It was just so beautiful. I liked how it's wide and windy, and I really because I've known the plot of Wuthering Heights before going into it, kind of. So I really like the idea of she's haunting the kind of, because that's okay, she's known for. She's a little bit haunting figure. You get to see that in the song by Kate Bush. She's haunting in I think all these wide shots of Kathy and all these white dresses and the fog and the moor and all that give her this ghostly appeal. And so it's oh, it's kind of a little foreshadowing of yeah, she's gonna haunt this narrative afterwards. And that was beautiful. That was well done. And it was just, I liked the movie, and I will not apologize for that. Even after reading the book, I can still appreciate the movie and be it was beautiful, that was well done. And it's not a movie I would personally go out and be oh, I'm gonna go watch that again by myself. No. Now, if someone wanted, was hey, you wanna go see this? I'd be yeah, I'll come see with you, because it was good. I loved it. I was in, it was a good time. I had a great time watching it. However, I think some of her choices was Miss Ma'am, what are we doing? Because that's the thing, is it's I get that her story, what she was trying to tell, wasn't the book as we know it. It was the feeling she had when she was 14 or whatever, of her reading this book. But after I finished it, because I finished the book after I watched the movie, I was wondering what feeling she had. Because I finished the book and it wasn't the same feeling. I did not have the same feeling, and okay. And so the first thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about Nellie. And this is because in the book, if you've not read the book, obviously spoilers, by the way, if you have not read the book or seen the movie, major spoilers for both, obviously. In the book, Nellie is our narrator. We're coming from this perspective of an outside man, and he is staying at Wuthering Heights, and he is sees Catherine Earnshaw, Catherine Lit, and Catherine Heathcliff written on this wall, window, whatever. And he's what's the story there? And so he keeps wonderful Nellie up to the middle of the night and was just hey, give me all the details. What's going on? What's the story of this place? Why is Mr. Heathcliff so pissed off all the time? What's going on? And in the movie, Nellie is not our narrator in the movie. She is a side character more. And I would say in the movie, I would say our narrator is either Catherine herself or Heathcliff. It's I would say it's mainly Catherine, maybe a little Heathcliff. And so I will say I think some of the changes to the way Nellie is portrayed is because we're looking at it through the eyes of Catherine mostly. Because in the book, Nellie is not portrayed as a villain. She is not the antagonist. She is not thwarting anyone's plans here. But walking out of that movie theater, you definitely have the sense of, Nellie? What were you doing? Literally. I like walking out of the movie theater, I hated Nellie because it was just like, girl, do you hate love? Like, what's going on? But reading the book, you don't have that feeling, and I will say partly that is probably because she's your narrator. No one's gonna narrate themselves as like the antagonist of a story. But I will also say I don't think she's inherently the antagonist either from an outside perspective. I would say she's mainly portrayed as the antagonist in the movie because we're seeing it from Catherine's eyes. From Catherine's eyes, we are seeing it told as Nellie knew Heathcliff was there. Nellie didn't tell her Heathcliff was there. And then she marries Linton anyway. She goes and Nellie knows that's not what she wants. Clearly, that's a deep betrayal to her. However, like, girl, you couldn't marry Heathcliff. And, like, especially in the book, she couldn't marry Heathcliff, but, like, even now, it's just like, girl, you need the money. Your father is gambling away your inheritance. You need money. The smart decision here is to marry Linton, no matter how you feel about Heathcliff. Like, whatever. And, like, I want to say Nellie's inherently bad character. She's trying to still, like, looking out for Catherine as she's supposed to. And in Catherine's eyes, it's a betrayal, it's a backstabbing, it's, and how dare you. And, like, even in the movie when she, like, betrays Catherine again by telling Linton of her affair, it's, you were firing her. She was looking out for her job. Like, it's your fault. You knew she knew. Like, let's be real here. Nellie knew. And you knew she knew. And you decided to be like, haha, you betrayed me. You treasoned me. And you have to leave now. So it's like, obviously she's going to protect her job that she's held for years and be like, no, I'm staying right where I want to be. And I know a lot of people are saying that Linton is also a villain in the movie, and I disagree. I never looked at Linton and was like, ooh, the villain. Like, no. I would say he is a normal guy who, like, he loved Catherine. He took care of Catherine. And yes, at the end, in the movie, she dies of sepsis because of she miscarries, but she never, like, gets rid of the child. And so she dies of sepsis. And that could have been prevented if she had more care. And the way it's done is Nellie is, like, her maid, and she tells, because Linton freaks out at Catherine. It's like, you need to stop crying over your affair, because I'm forbidding you from seeing Heathcliff, obviously. You need to pull yourself together. I'm not seeing you until you stop crying over him. And Nellie and Catherine's distraught. It's not happening. And he goes to see her, and Nellie's the person who's like, hey, you can't go see her. You told her she has to pull herself together first. And if you back down now, she won't take you seriously. And he's just, like, kind of agrees. He's like, yeah, fine, I won't see her. Whatever, pull herself together. So because he wants to see his wife. That doesn't make him a bad person in my head, and maybe I'm wrong. Like, that's okay. I can be wrong. I just never saw him as a villain. He was just a guy there, and he made some bad mistakes. I think he should have gone to see her anyway, and, like, that maybe would have prevented her death, but, like, he's not a bad person. As I said, Nellie is our antagonist. She's one person I was like, yeah, hate her. Linton, on the other hand, was like, you know what, dude? You could have been a little better. But it's fine. I don't hate you. You're just a dude in the 1800s. Like, what, 1800s? I want to say it's 1800s. It's like, okay, whatever. And that's that. And here's the thing. Okay?
Right now, it's 26 degrees Fahrenheit.
Alexis? Stop. Alexa. I don't know. Heathcliff. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Heathcliff. I have so many thoughts and opinions. Because what was that? Here's the thing. When you read Wuthering Heights, the book, Heathcliff is, not white. Everyone knows that. It's one of, like, the biggest thing. It's like, what are you doing? Because he's not white in the books. And it does impact the story, and that should be talked about, because it's like, oh, I wanted to tell the feeling I got when I was, like, 14 reading it. What feeling did you have? Because the way I read it was when Catherine's all like, I can't marry Heathcliff, he would degrade me. It's because, not just because he's poor, it's also because of, like, social class obligations and all that, is that she can't marry him because she's white. He's a servant. He can't come above that because I think it's, like, wild, like, I don't know if he's, like, his nationality is known, but it's, like, Indian, kind of. and he can't come above that. And that's what she means when she says it will degrade me. It's not because he's poor, because in the movie, it's, I can't marry Heathcliff even though I love him because it would degrade me. And it's just like, girl, he's poor. Tell him that. He went and got rich for her anyway. Like, let's be real. Versus in the book, it's like, he can't change that. There's nothing he can do. There's nothing to overcome that obstacle she is talking about because, yeah, let's be real. He can't change that, and so therefore it adds a different connotation of what it's talking about, and that's something that should be talked about, especially when we have Linton. I don't know why I was blanking on his name. Linton, who is portrayed as non-white in the movie, and it's just like, okay, do you think this is going to make it better? And that's because that's my thought process, is that she knew she was going to get, like, slack for portraying Heathcliff with Jacob Elordi, who is white. And so she's like, we'll make the other, like, love interest of this film. I don't know who plays them. I'm just like, maybe I should have researched who plays them and, like, the actors. I don't know who plays Linton in the movie. My bad. But Linton, he's, like, Middle Eastern in the movie. And it's just like, do you think that makes it, like, better? Because it didn't. I don't know, it didn't, like, because you're still impacting, like, the story that is being told. It is not the same. And it's no longer given, like, the vibes of the book, because the vibes of the book are very much, I can't want to be with you. I can't be with you because of the color of your skin, because you are poor and it would degrade me, and also I need the money and all this, and Linton's there and he loves me and he would take care of me, and I need that. I need to be taken care of, even though I love you. And so that's what she goes and does. But then it's like, in the movie, it's like, okay, I love you, but you're broke. Even though that's something you can go and fix. And he does go and fix. And it's just like, oh, okay. And, like, let's be real. Like, okay, fine, whatever. I think it was an unnecessary change that I think so many people would have taken this movie better if Heathcliff was portrayed more accurately to his description in the book, because that was, like, the major, like, anyone who's upset about, like, oh, it's not book accurate, she wasn't trying to be book accurate. She was trying to tell, like, the feelings she had, but she still missed out on the feelings that she should have, like, when she was reading it. Like, that was my thing. This is like, what are we doing? What feeling did you have besides this one? Because that was wrong. You had the wrong feeling. And I'm not even gonna, like, talk about the fact that, like, technically Catherine looks different. She's blonde instead of brunette. Oh well. And, like, yeah, we have a lot of blonde main female characters. Whatever. I don't think it impacts Catherine that much in the story to be like, oh no, she's blonde this time. I don't care. Don't care at all. I also want to talk about, though, is Isabella. Because she was done, I will say she was done dirty in the movie, okay? And even if you wanted your initial scene in the movie of Heathcliff barging into her room, dripping wet from the rain, and being like, I'm gonna do all of these awful things to you, and her still being like, continue. You could have had that, because let's be real. A man is barging into her room. A man, he knows she has a crush on him. And it's like, he knows that, she knows that. The major thing is that she has a crush on this man. And he's barging into her room, towering over her, already, like, starting to undress her. And it's like, there's a bit of, like, a little bit of, like, am I really gonna say no in this moment? No. But later on, when I have thoughts and I'm, like, not surprised and caught off guard, I'm like, wow, he's here. Because in the movie, it's portrayed as she's fully into this and, like, into all of it, and you're missing out on the part where she's not in the book. She suffers from Heathcliff's abuse. He is a monster in the books. And, like, even if you want to portray Heathcliff as, like, a better person, like, no. Because here's my thing. I didn't come out of that movie loving Heathcliff. I did not see him like, oh yeah, love him. He's beautiful. And nor did I come out of the book hating Heathcliff, because that's like, he was there, he did bad things, but there's a lot of book characters, let's be real, who do bad things, and we still can be like, okay, you should have done that, but like, you're crazy, insane, but it's like, you know, fine, I still like you as a character, because we can, like, characters have layers, and making them do bad things is part of those layers. And so when you just completely erase Heathcliff, like, he turned Isabella, and from this abuse survivor, and she's not, spoiler warning, in the book she dies. I don't know why I'm laughing, that's not funny, but in the book she dies, and so she's, like, goes through this abuse at Heathcliff's hands, which only gets worse because Catherine dies, and it's like, he's, like, madly in love with Catherine still. It's just like, we know that. And you could have also just incorporated that into your story. And let's not even talk about the fact that half the book was erased. Because the book is 184 pages. At page, like, 90, Catherine dies. And so this is at the point where I'm reading, like, what happens? Because in the movie, Catherine dies, the end, right, in the story. That's not where the story ends, and that's mainly because we have Nellie as our narrator, and she's no longer our narrator, so it's like, okay, well, she's still living, so she's gonna keep telling her story. And it continues on past that, and we see how Heathcliff becomes more of this, like, crazy, possessed, obsessed man, which he is portrayed as in the movie. He's still a crazy, obsessed, possessed man in the movie, let's be real. Like, there's no way you walked in that movie and left and then, like, was thinking, like, he's sane, he's normal, totally. Like, no, he's crazy, obsessed, and possessive over Catherine, and that's what he is also in the book, and it's overtly portrayed also when Catherine dies and the way he treats dying Linton, and also in the book she doesn't die, and she, like, before, from a miscarriage, she dies because she's sad. Like, it's not overtly clear, like, she gives birth, the child is born, and then she's still, like, depressed and sad because she's still in love with Heathcliff and all this nonsense, and, like, obviously pregnancy took a toll on her, and she just kicks the bucket, okay? And Heathcliff is still, like, obsessed and possessive over her, and he's still distraught about the fact, and he has a child with Isabella, and, like, they're raised kind of together because Isabella kind of reconciles her situation with her father, Linton, and then Linton's dying, and Linton's like, oh, you're not gonna do this, and also Catherine doesn't live to see her father die, and so we still have Mr. Earnshaw alive, and he's, like, kind of dying, and it's a whole mess. I will tell you, reading the last half of that book was like, who? Why? What's going on? Especially since there is a version available now, which is not in the Old English. I've read the version that is. Because I wasn't, like, thinking about, like, oh, it won't be that bad. It was like, what are we doing? Also, it's also because half of them are called by their last name, even as, like, the children. So we have Mr. Heathcliff, and we have Earnshaw and Linton, and then we have Kathy. Catherine's, like, the one person who is, and then she has a daughter, and her name is also Catherine. Wonderful, beautiful. I'm still confused. Okay, and then we have, like, Harrington. And, like, what was that? Like, why, like, I had a gripe with all the name issues, okay? I have a gripe with Family Tree and the name issues in the Wuthering book. And, like, because what was that? That wasn't needed. Excuse me. I'm sorry. But, like, by stopping the narrative at Catherine's death, you lose kind of, like, Heathcliff's downfall of a man after losing her, which I think plays into Heathcliff's, like, storyline of how obsessive and possessive he is. Like, even in death, he is still madly in love with this girl who he could never have, even though he has a child with his current wife, even though she kind of leaves, she dies because he's abusive and, like, neglectful of her, and that's why she kind of goes back to Mr. Linton, and Linton's, like, also dying. It's a whole mess. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And I also say, back to Nellie, my thoughts are all over the place on this. In the books, Nellie gives some of the letters to Catherine that Heathcliff has Isabella writes. it's not like, because in the movie she doesn't get any of them. Nellie just burns them all, and it's just like, cool. Okay, so we're just adding this like aspect of complete neglect for no reason. Because I feel you could still have your tail, clearly, because it's in the book. But I think because she wanted a villain, and that's my reason, is that she wants a villain in the story. Because in the book, the villain is Catherine and Heathcliff. Let's be honest here. In the book, it is they are so in love with each other and so toxic to one another that they kind of just ruin everyone's lives that they're around because they can't be together and it's ruining everything. And obviously, she wanted us to like Catherine and Heathcliff in the movie, and so that way she doesn't do that, and we get our new villain of Nellie, who like she's just doing her job, kind of, really. Like, yeah, she's neglectful at some points, and she could have been less, but it's like, girl, back off. Let Nellie do her thing. And like, just also, we're not even talking about the fact that it removes her brother. Catherine has an actual brother in the book, and who is he? I didn't know that until I started reading the book. It's like, oh, okay, but it's not book accurate, so who cares? Like, I didn't really care for the brother character. Like, I don't think he was like, wow, we needed him. Like, whatever, didn't care. I liked the movie. The book was good. I think she missed the points in some parts of the story of like telling her the way she felt. It's just like, girl, you could have still done the things like in the like kind of correct way without erasing so many like narratives that the books had. And that's my thing. That's my biggest gripe with the movie, is that in order to tell her feeling, she erased what the book was trying to tell as well, even though you could have tell your feeling. You could have, I still fully believe you could have the movie as it is, while also telling the storylines that of like social class and like race dynamics in the books we are even, with having Isabella being abused and not just really into all of it, because that was weird. Like, let's be real, I was uncomfortable at points. I was like, girl, self-respect, leave him. And like that's just my feelings. I will also say though, like, one praise I will give the movie as well is that I would have never, I don't want to say never, I would not have read Wuthering Heights at this moment without the movie coming out. It was something like oh, maybe I'll read it. Who knows? It'll be like, it would have been a book I read just because it exists. And like, I've heard it's good. I have a friend who really likes it. But it's not something that I would have gone and seeked out without like a lot of time has passing. And I will say, I'm not gonna say everyone who's watched the movie is going out and also reading the book. You know, you should, because it's 184 pages and there's a version that's not Old English. It's like, you get both sides of the story. But by having the movie come out, other people have also read the book, and it's like, okay, even though she is not telling the story, other people are getting access to the story because they are encouraged, or not like encouraged, because they have more interest in also now reading the book that the movie was adapted from, kind of. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But I liked the movie. I thought it was good. I would watch it again when it like out of movie theaters on streaming. Even though like it missed its marks at some points, it could have been better as like a feeling based book, like an adaptation of the book to a movie. But it was still good. I still liked it. I still had time, and like I would go see it again. Like, oh well, I didn't hate it. I don't think you have to hate it because it's not entirely accurate and it missed some points. I still think it's a great movie. Yeah, like and subscribe.